I'm focused on his spirit cause it keeps me from his fire. The Holy Ghost was with me, so my fear I leave behind. My sins were all diminished when he took that breath and died. And if you think I'ma give up on my God, the devil is a lie.
Hello, this is Christina Barr, and you're watching Black Tea News. Hello, welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about the protests that went on in New York the other day after a hospital wasn't going to issue puberty blockers to 12-year-olds. And we had started chit-chatting about it a little bit at the tail end of yesterday, but I wanted to go through the article and more of what was happening in the protest. And it's incredible that these are still the hills that folks want to die on. But I know, they've been really invested. There's been a lot of people who've been physically harmed or maimed and permanently scarred and damaged from this ideology. So it is hard to break away from that sort of worldview. And at the same time, you feel marginalized, but at the same time, you feel special. And it's just hard for a lot of people to give up. But the tide has really turned on this particular issue. Donald Trump signing an executive order for women's sports to protect women's sports from males. And I also want to talk about Donald Trump apparently wanting to build on Gaza and have ownership of Gaza. I'm a little baffled. I'm very wait and see how it all kind of unfolds, but we'll chit chat about it. Before we talk about everything, I want to encourage you guys, go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on the website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate, because it does cost a stream, run my website, all that good stuff, so you guys can support. I very much do appreciate it. Especially because I might have to go to DC again very soon. So if you guys can support what I do appreciate it. You guys can give stars on Facebook, super chats on YouTube if you would like to support that way, or stickers for watching back later. Thank you to everyone who's in the comments. I see you guys on YouTube so far popping in the comments. How you guys doing? I see Kit Kat, and RC, and April. Folks who are in here usually like every day. I know I got some usual people who come back and watch it later. So I thank you to all of you who take your time out of your day to check in on me and my stream and comment. And you guys are great. So where's my Facebook people at though? I stream on Twitch too, but Twitch, just people pop in here or there and they don't seem to know what I'm talking about, and then they kind of dip out. But we'll keep on streaming there until I guess I decide to just stream elsewhere. With my account, I think I can stream like 3 different places. So that's what I've decided to do. You guys know you can check out different merchandise also at blacktnews.com, like the Make Crack Whack Again Trump 2024 shirt. We got the Constitution is a Glorious Liberty document with Frederick Douglass, and the Black Tea mug, and all kinds of different stuff. And I will keep pimping my book of where is it at? The Song on the Devil's Lips, and the first book would be The Color of God's Eyes, a historical fiction fantasy that takes place during the American Civil War. Think the American Civil War meets X-Men. This is my baby. I love my books, and thank you guys for your interest, those of you who checked out my stuff. And I know yesterday's show we opened up just talking about my books because there's some questions about it. So um, I thank you guys for caring and supporting. And most of my books you guys can read on Kindle Unlimited if you do have that subscription. Otherwise, you guys can just buy them on Kindle, or you guys can go ahead and buy the physical copies. My nonfiction books, like of course, God is blatantly against abortion. That one is not available on Kindle Unlimited. You do actually have to physically buy that or buy an ebook. Anyway, let's hop to it. I got a comment. Absolutely, I'm a said sell some about some lipstick. You guys are having a conversation with each other. I thought you guys might be. I get a lot of comments about the what I use, and if I go out, my sisters will be like, "Look at that red lip! You out here with that red lip?" And when I say sisters, it's usually just one in particular. Yeah, Sabrina. And if I don't have the red lip, be like, "Girl, where's your red lip? Where's your red lip at?" So I don't buy any other color. Like only wear red. Uh uh what's God's eyes according to you? Uh that question about my book, if I could just answer that quickly. Um the book deals I the title of that book, I wanted something that kind of sounded old-timey, kind of like their eyes are watching God or whatever. I guess it has kind of more to do with the feel of kind of what I wanted it to be. But these in the story, everybody's religious back then, and different people have different perspectives and justifications on why they do what they do. So Charlotte has a perspective on God and being made in the image of God and what God would uh likes and what's just and how the world should be. And the villains of the book are these like religious zealots who believe that people with special abilities are abominations. And then of course you have people who are slave owners who also say that they love God but are enslaving people. So um it does deal with different perspectives on what is right and what is wrong, what people kind of justify in their own eyes. So that's kind of quickly how I can explain that without going into too much detail. Uh Bailey said I read two of your books. Fantastic what I read. I will be ordering today. One is The Color of God's Eyes, and the mermaid one, sorry, I forgot the title. That is The Dark Mermaid. Thank you very much, Bailey. Appreciate that. Uh, I guess you guys were talking about our lipsticks. Okay. Anyway, let's get to the news. I do enjoy chatting with you guys. I feel like we're a little community. So I saw a great line from a friend of mine that said that there was political climate change going on, and I might have to swipe that title and make some kind of article about it because you can really see that there is a political climate change, in America, and you could really feel it with a lot of different perspectives and issues right after the election, specifically with free speech and tech. Like Elon, of course, shifted a lot of things when he bought X, when he decided to buy X and, team up with Trump and stuff. But then you saw Zuckerberg, spilling the tea on the government. And, I don't think he's a hero by any means, but, at least he seems to be coming around, and Facebook is changing their policies. The media was really mad about getting rid of the fact checking stuff, and which I feel the community notes route is a much better route to go. So you're seeing a shift ever since Trump won. The pendulum swung. So another way the pendulum has swung was really on this transgender issue, and it became a big issue during the election. The most effective ad that Trump had was he's for us, she's for they them. And you had Charlemagne mention it on the Breakfast Club, and then Trump took that, put an ad, didn't ask for permission or whatever. They just took it, start putting in ads or whatever, and it was effective. It was really, really effective. And you had people on the left saying Kamala Harris didn't even run on all this stuff, and it's just the Republicans who keep bringing it up, which I thought was the stupidest thing to say. I'm like, we're supposed to just ignore all the stuff that they've stood for, that they've done for all these years because she wants to slide by in 100 days and become the president and pretend like she's somebody else. That's not how it works. Like, we have her on tape saying crazy stuff about wanting to fund transgenderism in prisons, and how she fought for that kind of stuff. And we have her writing down, not just checking a box, but writing that she wanted to fund transition gender affirming stuff for illegal detainees. So it's just as radical as you can go. The Biden administration is very radical, or was very radical. When people talk about Trump's nominees, I don't love everyone, but when we think about the kind of people who were in the Biden White House, it was just so bonkers. Like, not a picture of mental wellness. Like, you know so things have really, really shifted. So Trump came in fast with the different executive orders and addressing things about transgenderism. And so he's signing one on girls sports, which is you had the House moving on some different bills that they want to pass or whatever, but you had Trump moving on some executive orders, so that he's going to be doing one that says that men cannot be in girls sports, which, the reason why we have Title IX is to give more opportunities to women. So if dudes want to come in and infiltrate, that undermines the whole Title IX. So he's doing good work. And that's one of the reasons why people decided to support him. And there's been big movements, like Gays Against Groomers, which actually I think the head of Gays Against Groomers was invited to the White House for the signing of the executive order. She put that on, Twitter. And he had wrote an executive order to stop the mutilation, transgender mutilation. So mutilation and sterilization. So folks are not happy about this, obviously. And so I did mention this yesterday, like briefly, because it was at the tail end and we were already over. So I did want to talk about this in more length. So this is a CBS News article. Transgender community rallies in NYC as state hospitals are warned to provide gender affirming care. New York, hundreds of people rallied in Manhattan Park on Monday calling for protections for transgender people following President Trump's executive order banning gender affirming healthcare. Some hospitals have been canceling appointments because of it. There was a show of solidarity for the transgender community at packed St. Vartan Park in a Murray Hill section of the borough, nearly 1 week after the president's executive order aimed at cutting federal support for certain types of care for people under the age 19. When they first announced executive order, it was my youngest sister Tina who had pointed it out to me, and so she read it and she's like, "Yeah, it's for everyone under 19." And I thought, like, oh, well, if they're upset about it being up to 19, just remember that when they like to cite gun statistics about how many kids are being killed, they go all the way up to 19, So that one's coming back to bite you guys. L'Oreal Crean joined the crowd marching to nearby NYU Logan with important message. Dear NYU, protect us, not your profits. Sincerely, a trans kid, the 17-year-old said. The rally happened after New York Times reported the hospital canceled appointments for two 12-year-olds. Two 12-year-olds who had been scheduled to receive implants to dispense puberty blocking medication. Two 12-year-olds. I know that's like the ages that these people get them, 11, 12, etc. Because they want to block puberty, obviously. But it's just so crazy to think about how young these people are And the hospital, they got this executive order. The hospital pumps the brake and says, we're going to cancel these appointments for 2 12-year-olds. And then these people decide that they're going to take to the street because 2 12-year-olds couldn't take the sterilizing drugs to alter their bodies so they can chase a delusional dream about being the opposite gender that they are. It's insane. These people are unwell, still unwell. From NYU specifically, I know several people who had appointments canceled, said Rabbi Abby Stein, a member of the group Jews for Radical and Economic Justice. NYU Lagone declined to comment. This decision is not a moral and medical failure. This decision is not just a moral and medical failure. It is a betrayal of our parents and our profession, said Dr. Michael Zingman, a child and adolescent fellow at the hospital. New York Attorney General Letitia James warned hospitals if they refuse to provide treatment, they will be violating the state's anti-discrimination laws. In a letter sent, I don't know how that's possible. Hey, you can't, if you don't sterilize these children, that you're discriminating. Like, ma'am. In a letter sent to the healthcare providers on Monday, James wrote, regardless of the availability of federal funding, we write to further remind you of your obligations to comply with New York state laws. We're proud that New York State is the birthplace of the LGBTQ plus movement and will never shirk our responsibility to protect individuals and their rights, Governor Kathy Hochul said. Daniel Golding of the Democratic Socialist of America was among the hundreds who gathered, hoping they were heard loud and clear. When this care is denied to our trans children, we see really high suicide rates. And when we say this is a life and death situation, we absolutely mean it. Golden said, trans people have always been here. We're not going anywhere. The Greater New York Hospital Association said it's in close contact with a member of the hospital who's working through every aspect of the executive order to determine its legal and clinical implications. So yeah, I'm sure they'll be challenged like so many other things were challenged, but they got to be careful. I mean, trying to push all this stuff through. So there was something that was shut down, blocked recently. Oh yeah, it was men and women's prisons. It was a case where there was a man in a woman's prison, or they were shutting down like men and women's prisons, and a judge blocked it. And so that's probably going to go up to the Supreme Court. And if you're trying to if that ends up at the Supreme Court, where do we think that's going to go for the left right now? I don't think it's going to go in a good place. So they can keep challenging this stuff, but if they end up, solidifying that all this, you can't invade women's spaces like that, because you could say they could try to make the case for the man that they think that he has the right to do that. But I just don't understand why, even if you believe what you believe, that the man actually believes that he's a woman, but that he's still a male, and it's still conflicting with the rights of all these other women who don't want them in their prisons, who don't want them in their spas, who don't want them on their sports teams, who don't want them in their locker rooms, in their bathrooms, etc. Like, why do the women have to lose? Why do the women have to lose in this? It doesn't make any sense. And that's why so many people have pushed back on this so hard. And it's become such an issue, even though Kamala Harris, someone said make asylums great again. You guys are funny. Even though Kamala Harris didn't want to talk about it on the campaign trail because it was a loser issue for her, which is funny that they have just bounced back to this. Doesn't mean that we forgot everything over the past couple of years. We did not. We absolutely freaking did not. By the way, even the Biden administration, there was a whistleblower because Tennessee passed a bill that had to stop the transitioning of the minors, and there was a hospital that was still doing it. So there was a whistleblower that snitched on them, and then the Biden administration decided to go after them. So they were fighting in court, and this is a genuine whistleblower who blew the whistle on the hospital breaking the law, and the Biden administration wanted to go after him. And it got dropped after Trump became the president. But that's the kind of stuff that they were doing. That's the kind of stuff that they were doing. So they can keep trying this nonsense. It ain't gonna work out for them. It ain't gonna work out for him. I do want to show this video of this actress from Sex and the City, I believe, who once ran for president. I saw her picture on the floor. It was a category of like failed presidential candidates. Cynthia Nixon. And she showed up to give a speech about all this. And it's just, the sort of madness that you probably won't surprise you.
Most importantly, I am here today as the mother of a proud trans man. I am here today as the aunt of a proud trans man. My best friend's kid is trans, and my kid's best friend is trans. My wife and I, our lives are filled with the most amazing, beautiful, brave, trans people, young and old, but especially young.
So I just want to point out here that seems like quite the coincidence, doesn't it? That you have so many people in your sphere who have gender dysphoria. I don't know. How many times have you been struck by lightning? It could be that there's a social contagion here. Like Abigail Schreier wrote in her book, Irreversible Damage. It could be that these different social groups and with the particular political values and these particular communities, that they sway that way, and then someone is like it, and then in another group, friend group, just kind of keeps spreading, and you get to be marginalized, so you could play victim, but at the same time, you're really, really special. You get to wield how special and unique you are to everyone. And if everyone doesn't capitulate to you, then they're a bad person, and they're evil, they're bigoted, and woe is you. And you get to, weaponize empathy, use toxic empathy, and, they use the emotional blackmail. If they don't comply, they're just wielding so much power. Now they're losing the power again because the pendulum has swung, but she's not this lucky. Obviously, there's some social contagions going on.
My trans kid had his top surgery at NYU a number of years ago.
Wow. Oh, yeah. She had her daughter's breast chopped off. That's what she's talking about. Top surgery. That's not stunning or brave. It's sick. It's sick. And if it is about how you identify, then why? I know they feel uncomfortable in their body, and they're trying to basically change the physicalness of the physical shell, I guess, as much as they can to I gotta trick the mind to make it okay. But if you're if a man is a woman because he says he's a woman and identifies as a woman, and is not even required to do physical changes, then wouldn't her daughter still be a man without needing to chop off her breasts? You know, when these kids, the 12-year-olds who wanted puberty blockers, aren't they still what they think they are without getting the puberty blockers? What would happen if we just like didn't do these things? We just kind of let people figure themselves out and sort all this stuff out. Someone in the comments mentioned that they were tomboy. You know, one of my sisters was a, you know, a tomboy, and she she was gross as a kid. Like, she'd talk about boogers and all kinds of things to gross out. I was like, get away. We're like, why are you talking about this stuff? And you know, she didn't like to she wasn't like a go play in the mud kind of kid or anything. My mom didn't let us do stuff like that. But she'd like to wear baggy t-shirt. She still likes a baggy t-shirt. She liked to wear jeans. She would say, I'm not gonna be a girly girl. I'm not gonna be a girly girl, you know. And, you know, she started liking boys and, you know, dressed a little different. And, you know, when she worked at Target, she'd be late because she had to make sure her makeup was, you know, great. And, you know, like doing her hair and her nails. And so now she's the one who's married and got 5 kids. And, she, you know, she's a beautiful girl. And, you know, always looks so lovely, and she likes her clothes and she likes her makeup. You know, she still likes her hoodies, she still likes her jeans, she likes her dresses, and she loves dressing up her girls. And, you know, but if there was this kind of madness going on when she was younger, people would have, you know, tried to put that in her head. I'm not saying it would have penetrated, but, you know, that's what a lot of people who were tomboys are thinking. Like, man, if this madness was introduced back in the day, they would have said I was trans, or tried to make me feel like I was trans, or maybe people would have been susceptible to that. I saw one post some time ago, and a girl was talking about how much of a tomboy she was. And she even talked about chopping off her breasts and stuff. And as she got older, she just realized that she just really, really idolized her brother. And now she's a girly girl, you know, an adult, a woman who loves her femininity. But at the time growing up, you know, she didn't embrace that aspect of her because she had someone else that she was looking toward, and he was a man. So, and she didn't even like connect those dots, that she kind of wanted to be a boy or reject her femininity because she was trying to aspire to be her brother. So there's a lot of things that people have to work out in their heads. You know, there's so much confusion and social awkwardness already when you're coming of age and going through your teen years, and to have these people put in your heads that you should wear chest binders and chop off your breasts and block your puberty, and this is who you are, and you're non-binary, or, you know, gender queer. It's just so much nonsense. But the idea that these people are upset and showed up at this hospital mad because 2 kids didn't get puberty blockers is just crazy.
His doctors were fantastic. His surgeon was the best we could have imagined. And the idea that this city is filled with young people who thought they had a place to go where they could receive the highest care, and that place has now been shut to them, sickens me to my core. So I want to say the last 2 weeks have been an assault, a barrage, so many horrific things coming at us from every direction. You don't even know where to look or how to try and block the horror that is coming in our direction. But since the inauguration, and I would say actually since the election, Nothing has made me feel so good as coming around the corner today and seeing you all standing here fighting for trans rights.
Yeah, that's about halfway through it. I'm done. We're done. We don't need any more. We don't need any more. I see some people in the comments saying that they were tomboys. It is madness. And I see somebody on Twitch. Mirage, Leonardo. Yeah, they said it is madness. I agree. It's sad that if someone is a tomboy, they're like, you have to get trans surgery or we won't accept you. It's ludicrous. Someone sort of homeschool your kids. So it's crazy that the attorney general's coming at them for pausing after the executive order saying it violates their anti-discrimination laws. It's just a lot. But ideology in New York trumps a lot of things. Yesterday we talked about how there was a doctor from New York who sent abortion pills to Louisiana. That's against the law. And this doctor in New York didn't see the patient, didn't talk to the patient. The mother filled out a questionnaire and the doctor sent the abortion pills. Not the pills were not for the mother who filled out the form. The pills were for the mother's daughter because her minor, I don't know how old her minor was, got pregnant. And she was like, you're going to take this or else. Like, you're getting kicked out or whatever. Like, she coerced her. The girl wanted to keep her baby. She apparently wanted to, was planning a gender reveal and all that stuff. And so she gave her the pills or made her take the pills. And then the girl ended up going to the hospital because that happens more often than you think with the abortion pill. And she, of course, lost her baby. And she could have caused more serious harm to her daughter. So the mother has been charged because you're not supposed to do all the things that they did, especially coerce an abortion to happen. And they also indicted the doctor. And so the governor was saying, we're doing shield laws, or we have shield laws. You can't take our doctor, and this is so egregious. And the sort of responses from the pro-choice community is pretty interesting, justifying what the mom did, saying, well, parents have to make tough decisions, and like, who would have really been raising that baby? You would think that grandma would help, but the mom would try her best. But by the way, I'm not for teen pregnancy. I'm definitely not even for teen sex, but there are young women who do it. Again, I don't know how young she was, but there are other options. If she didn't want to help her daughter raise her grandchild, they could have found a nice family to adopt, But I just don't think that's healthcare, You're not speaking to the patient. You're not seeing the patient, not analyzing the patient, and them just sending out a form so you could send pills to someone who's not even going to take it, and they're going to force someone to give it to someone else. That seems insane to me. I just would not call that healthcare, and I wouldn't defend it. But that's New York for you. That's New York. Okay. Moving on. Donald Trump was with Bibi, Prime Minister of Israel, and they had some interesting plans about what they're going to do with Gaza. And I'm a little, I don't know, wait and see. Like I guess I'll play the snippet. This is only a snippet. I mean, the press conference was a while, but
a beautiful area with homes and safety, and they can live out their lives in peace and harmony instead of having to go back and do it again. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years. I'm hopeful that this ceasefire of a beautiful area.
Let's start and repeat. Okay, before I comment on this is a good comment from Bailey here. So an underage girl can't have a baby, but can have her breasts removed. These people are crazy. That is the state of New York and leftist logic. So Donald Trump is talking about making Gaza into an economic hotspot that people will want to visit. How he said something about the Riviera. I'm thinking like Dubai is when I hear them talk. I don't know if that's exactly what they're thinking of, but they want to build up stuff. So it'll be, I don't know, kind of the envy of the world, I suppose. And as far as who's paying for it, it sounds like he's gonna try to get like other Arab nations and stuff to do that. Maybe plus us too. He's talking about the US taking ownership of Gaza. And people are like, I don't know if he means that or if he's saying stuff to just get the other Arab nations to take responsibility and build it up. And so as they're talking about that, they're talking about resettling the people of Gaza so they could build all this stuff because it's just rubble now. And if they want to leave, they should be able to leave. And I'm listening. I was like, I'm just thinking, where are they going to go? Where are they going to go? Where are they going to go? Because I don't want them to come here. I'm sorry. I don't want them to come here. I was the primaries when it seemed like people were kind of open to it. If you guys recall, like Nikki Haley had like a squishy kind of answer that was sounded some alarm bells, and then she kind of walked it back, and Ron DeSantis was trying to hammer her on it and stuff. I was just like, no, I don't think so. So you had a CNN reporter, gosh, can't think of her name. Her face is clear as day, but she kept asking like, when, like, where are they gonna go? Where are these people gonna go? Where are these people gonna go? And as I'm listening, I'm like, is he dodging this question? But then he eventually like mentioned other Arab nations, surrounding nations. Now I don't know if those other nations will take them, because they would rightfully be concerned about bad actors trying to just create chaos in their countries. So I don't know who want to take these people for a little while in resettlement zones. And he's saying, oh, I don't even know if they'll want to come back. We'll build the nicest towns for these people in these countries. And people are like, why wouldn't they want to go back to their homes? And even if he builds nice towns, if he's making Gaza like into Dubai or something, I why wouldn't they want to come back to Gaza? But I mean, I didn't know it was going to happen. Like, I don't think that them just resetting to what was before is going to work, because obviously they would just rebuild up their military and infrastructure to, the terror tunnels and all that stuff, and not really care for the people. And they would just plan another October the 7th as soon as they got the chance. So I'm like, they gotta make sure this can't happen again. And so if they're gonna make sure that they don't control the land, and I just thought that meant that Israel was gonna occupy the area, that I guess that's what I was just guessing that was gonna happen. But this is interesting. And maybe it's a good thing. Some people are like, I thought nation building was bad. I thought it wasn't a good thing anymore, because that's what people said that, Bush and them were doing with Afghanistan and so on. And let's I guess it's not exactly the same, like trying to, because I mean, we're trying to help them build up their democracy and, their government and prop them up, and it just all kind of collapsed or whatever. But Trump is looking at things from an economic standpoint in a way that'll benefit a lot of different countries and whatnot. And the Abraham Accords, is a built cooperation between Israel and other countries in the goal to pursue peace and good economic outcomes for them. So there are things more important than, blood and war. And you can move on if you have good economic goals that are beneficial to many parties. So if they're going to build up Gaza and it leads to good job opportunities and, becomes an incredible place to live, would that change the dynamics of that area and the future of the Palestinians? Maybe. I mean, I was listening to Ben's show and he was talking about this, and he's just like, let Trump cook. Like conventional wisdom hasn't worked. Like Trump came in with unconventional wisdom and got the Abraham Accords done, and now he's doing this. And so I'm interested to see how things will evolve, because they asked Bibi about it, and he's like, this is something that's interesting that we need to really think about, consider, and this could change the Middle East. So now all the details clearly aren't worked out. So we'll have to see how that evolves and how that evolves with partnering surrounding nations. But I'm sorry, I don't want them here, and I just can't imagine other nations be like, sure, even though they have closer, more similarities, closer culture, and it makes sense to resettle them, in Jordan and other places, but they didn't even want to open the border for them. So I don't know about them taking in, refugees. So we'll have to see what happens. But I don't know, because at first I heard that, I was like, what? And that when I retweeted it, that's what I said. I'm like, what? But I don't know. I guess you can let the man cook. I don't like. I mentioned the other day, when something happens, don't bother having a big reaction. Just wait to see how things evolve a little bit. Report the news and whatnot. But policies change and shift, and Donald Trump's not an ideologue, so if he has a bad idea, it might change after he talks to some people, and or the good idea isn't exactly fleshed out and details will change, and or people were so flipping out about Canada and Mexico and the tariffs, and that was obviously resolved very quickly, at least for 30 days, as Canada announced that they were going to help partner with some things on the border. So we'll have to see how this idea evolves and how their Arab partners want to proceed, because I don't see how they can pull this off without that. And I wonder how Hamas feels, though. They launched the war, they were very proud of what they did, they got obliterated. After they got the ceasefire, they, put on their military gear and were celebrating in the streets, which is just rubble everywhere. But they still wanted to proclaim they took a W. And Trump is like, by the way, we're going to own Gaza. So I wonder how they feel. The president of the United States, the most powerful country in the world, was just like, we're going to build up some condos and mini malls. I wonder what they think, because I mean, you definitely can't allow Hamas to be there operating while you're trying to make a vacation hotspot. So keep them guessing. Art of the deal. He definitely keeps us on our toes. He definitely does that for sure. Another interesting thing going on is that Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, led by Elon Musk, is making the left nutty. For some reason, Democrats have an issue with transparency. They have an issue with different reveals on how much of our money is going to bad places. And so something that's sparking debate today is that it was revealed that a lot of money was going to news organizations, particularly Politico, and it was like 37 subscriptions for Politico Pro, and it cost over $400,000. Now, I don't know all the benefits of Political Pro. I started researching and looking it up, but apparently there's a lot of benefits to it, and it does cost quite a penny. I don't think it gets, from my understanding, it doesn't quite get to, over or about $500,000, but they've spent about $8 million, from my understanding. Now, do you think that should be disclosed? And to me, it seems like a scandal. Other people are like, this is a huge scandal for Politico, that you got a lot of money, especially in 2024, from these subscriptions from the government, and you wrote some kind of crazy articles and headlines through the years that seems like you benefit and lean toward one party, right? And you were getting a lot of money. Do the readers deserve to know that? Someone had pointed out this old headline. Former Senator Jim Inhofe, who called climate change a hoax, dead at 89. That's how you announce that someone died, about climate change and calling it a hoax. It's always interesting how they immortalize people who've passed who they hate. But those are the sorts of things that your taxpayer dollars are funding. So that's caused a bit of a stir today and a debate today. And they're just going strong with it. People are defending Politico and how much money they spent on this stuff, but people are asking questions. And newspapers, they lose money all the time. I wonder how upset they would be if we're like, we're not going to spend all that money on the subscriptions on your Political Pro. It just seems like it's a little nuts, guys. Maybe it's me, but no, they should definitely disclose more of the stuff. And then there's a USAID, the USAID program. Folks are mad about that being exposed. And Schumer and Crockett and Murray, all these Democrats out there coming for Elon, leading a rally, wanting to take him down or whatever. It's just a lot. These people, they love their billionaire, the Soroses. They don't mind the influence that he has and the influence that his money has on them, and they go out and they take pictures. But the issue is that Trump won. Elon used to be on their side. Elon did vote for Biden in 2020, and they lost him. They lost him, and they have no one to blame but themselves. the free speech issue is it, is an issue with Elon. He hates the woke stuff. He had a child who he lost to the transgenderism madness. So he considers himself to be an enemy of the woke. And he pays more taxes than anyone in the country, from my understanding, So he is concerned about what his money is buying. He pays all those taxes. He doesn't want it to fund drag shows in another country, in Democrat slush funds. And all these news organizations and stuff. $8.1 million. So it's crazy. People are justifying it, but we'll have to keep debating it. I think there's a big issue here. I think it's a big issue here. So here's a thought experiment for you. Let's say Ron DeSantis was using taxpayer money to pay for subscriptions to the Daily Wire, and then the Daily Wire never disclosed that. How do you think the mainstream press would react? They would go bonkers. They would go bonkers. Let's be for real. And folks pretending otherwise are just not being honest. Not at all, not in the slightest. Another interesting thing going on is that Joe Rogan exposed Kamala Harris and her team because they were writing. There was a book that came out talking about the election and what went wrong. They interviewed a lot of different people, and they talked about Joe Rogan showing how difficult it was to kind of get on and make things work. And Joe Rogan went on his show and corrected the record and was like, no, that's not true. She was never coming on. And he said getting Trump was really easy. They just like, oh yeah, book him. Very simple. And Kamala Harris, her team, they're just difficult. And some people thought that she was trying to arrange it, like when she went to go to Texas and had that rally and Beyonce showed up. That wasn't the case. After Trump started doing crazy numbers, like they talked about wanting him to come to, I think, DC or somewhere to not film in the studio and only talk for like an hour. And he didn't want to do that. And they claim that there's all these people that they talked to, and it's just not true. So he exposed them for lying. Let me go ahead and just play this clip. Hopefully I don't think I'll get copyright strike, or copyright flag, but we'll see.
Today, I guess it's probably a good time to talk about this. There was a thing that came out recently. There was a book. There was some book about the Kamala Harris campaign where they talked about her getting on this show. And they said a bunch of things that weren't true. They talked to supposedly talked to like 150 different people about her and what happened with her coming on this show. I don't know if it's 150. A lot of people. They didn't talk to us, and which is kind of crazy. And which is like they didn't even ask. But they said things that just weren't true. One of the things they said that weren't true was that we lied about the day that Trump was coming on. No, we just didn't tell you that Trump was coming on. He was already booked a long time ago. This is how it worked. Trump was really easy to book, like super easy. We offered one day. He said yes. That was it. There was no, what are we going to talk about? How long is it going to be? Is it going to be edited? There was nothing. Yeah. What's the waiver? Here, give me that waiver. Sign it. It was so easy. So he was already booked. They never committed to doing the show. So all this talk, there was another thing they said that the reason why they did the Beyonce thing, the Beyonce event in Houston, was so that they could be in Texas to do my show. They never agreed to do the show. None of that's true. They never agreed.
That's fucked.
They also said that they sent someone down here to the studio to do a walkthrough of the set. That's not true. The Trump administration did. I mean, if they are trying to say that they, as in the entire federal government, well, I don't think the Trump, well, I guess the Secret Service is a part of the federal government. Maybe you can kind of get away with saying that because the Secret Service came down here for Trump and looked around that we sent someone down, but it was not. It was the Trump administration sent them down because they're the only ones that had a date to do the show. These people didn't have a date to do. They never agreed to do the show. This is really important. Even after Trump went on, they offered for me to come to DC and do a show with Kamala. But even then, it was the same deal. It was only like 45 minutes to an hour. And, you know, it was not on my set. And I said that, look, he did it here. We should probably do it here. Like, if it's possible to do it here. Obviously, when he did it, it had an enormous result. I'm willing to do the same thing for her. I wanted to release both of them on the same day. This was my goal. I was even trying to figure out if there was a way that I could do it. And I even offered to do it late that night. So the night that Trump came on, I'm like, what if we do her, like when she's done in Texas, if she came here? But no one ever committed to doing it. This is like really important because they keep pretending that I lied or I did this or I did that. They never committed to doing it. Well, we went through, I've got a whole, we have all the receipts, by the way.
Of course.
I have a whole list of conversations that took place. They never said she was going to do it. So this whole idea that we fucked her over and then we fucked her over for Trump, incorrect, just not true.
And she, you know,
but I think it's someone trying to cover their ass for the fact that she never did it. And if she did do it, it might have had a positive effect.
Yeah.
If her and I had a good time and we got along great and she won over, you know, the air quote young male vote, things could have been different. Who knows? So this guy's probably trying to cover his ass.
That's what I'm thinking too, is because the reaction to her not coming was like pretty big.
But they didn't commit to doing it. This is the thing. While this guy's saying like that we were difficult to deal with, not true. We were super easy. We made it real clear. But also, it's got to be the actual real show. It shouldn't be some fake version of it where I'm sitting in a conference room. Also, they wanted a stenographer in the room. They wanted staff in the room. Trump was just in here by himself.
Yeah.
Just me, him, and Jamie. That's it. For 3 hours. Like, they wanted to do everything. They wanted it very controlled. And they were really concerned that it wasn't going to be edited. So I don't think they ever really were sure they wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Then once Trump did it and it had this huge response, I think then it was like, what the fuck? What are we doing? He just did it. It's got 50 fucking million views. This is so stupid. Why didn't we do it? And so then there was, even then, when they offered to do it in DC, my manager asked, is she committed to doing this? If I bring this to Joe, no, she hasn't committed to doing this. Have you brought this to her? Like, they wouldn't even say whether or not she had expressed willingness to do it or whether they were trying to convince her to do it. We know for sure there were some people that were supposedly on her staff that were against her doing it. They thought it was bad because, you know, it's a bunch of wokesters. They're basically in a cult. You have a distributor. Like, if you're willing to go on Fox News, you talk to, what's that guy's name? Brett Breyer?
Yeah.
Where they cut that off after 20 minutes. When they did that, that's when I was like, look, it's got to be in the studio. It's got to be in the studio and it's got to be real. It's got to be a real conversation. I had entertained a couple of times going to, but I was like, 45 minutes is just not enough. You know, you and I have been talking an hour and a half already.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just it's not enough time. You need more time. You need more time to find out what makes someone tick.
And that's.
Yeah. So, I'm not surprised that they're lying. The lies continue. I'm not surprised that it was never really on the table, that she never really committed. I'm not surprised at all. But like, I know you're running for president and it's like a really, really short term where you're doing all this stuff, but be more respectful of people's time, man. Like, it's the biggest podcast in the world. And they already did a fake thing with the Call Her Daddy podcast. Spent like $100,000 on a fake studio. Like, you could have made some time to go there. And Trump was on there for 3 hours. 3 hours. And she had a lot to make up for because she dodged doing interviews for so long. The first 40 days that she ran, she did not talk to the press. And her first interview was like with Dana Bash on CNN with Tim Walz. So, I imagine that they probably thought she wouldn't be great in a long form conversation for obvious reasons, though. It's just funny. The truth will come out. Joe will talk about it. Joe will talk, and someone had posted this clip and he retweeted. He's like, "This is the truth about what happened." Very simple. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on the website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation on the website because it does cost to stream. Run my site, all that good stuff. So please, consider doing all that stuff and checking out merch and so on. Again, you guys can check out some of my books that are available on Amazon. I thank you to those who are going to check out my stuff, and I hope you guys like it and leave some nice reviews. Like I said, The Color of God's Eyes is my baby. They're all, I mean, I love them all, but that is my baby. But I encourage you guys to check out my stuff for sure. Anyway, God bless you guys. There's my books, my baby babies. And if you have any kids in your life into the chapter books and stuff, I got my Super Kids series. I'm so excited for my picture book to be out this year too. But I got lots of stuff to choose from. But anyway, God bless you guys, and I'll see you next time.